Hey there everybody, and welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Apuborama, and in today's video, I'll be posting a very long and detailed one. I haven't posted for the past 4 days as I've been working on this specific video. Today, we are breaking into every single type of business in Grand Theft Auto Online, the ways you can make money with them. This is going to be great for beginners. This is going to be great for people that want to know a thing or two about certain businesses they might not have learned about, and I'll be sharing my opinions as, I would say, a pretty veteran money grinder at this point on what are the best and worst options at the end of the video. So hopefully you enjoy this, and let's get straight into it. This video is going to have 3 major categories of businesses. We're going to start off with passive income. These are businesses you are able to run in the background while you're making your money. With the second category, the active businesses. These are the ones where you have to constantly be sourcing, and if you're not moving a finger, you're not making money. And then finishing off, we have miscellaneous businesses. These are businesses that have a combination of either both being passive or active, or some sort of different way of making money, which we'll break into once we get to that category. So, as I said before, we are going to start off with passive businesses. There are quite a few different passive businesses, and the way they work are all pretty similar. You are going to purchase goods that are then going to take a bit of time to develop into a product. And after they're done developing, all you need to do is usually sell them. Now, not all businesses you need to sell, but for most of them, you need to do a sale mission after they're done accruing, and you're going to get your profit. We're going to start off with one of the best passive businesses, which is the nightclub. This one works very well, and there's actually 2 different ways of money you can make with it. The first way is very easy. That is keeping your nightclub popularity up. To do this, there is one of 2 different ways. The first way is every hour or so when you walk into the club, you're going to get a message from Marcel that's going to say, hey, somebody's causing a ruckus or a VIP needs escorting. You're going to go drive them somewhere. You're going to kick somebody out of the club, and then it's going to raise your popularity. The other way to raise it, which is the way I do it, is a lot simpler. What you need to do is swap DJs. If you go onto your nightclub computer and you just click in between the DJs that you see there, every time you swap a DJ, it's going to raise the bar by 10%. And it's only going to drop by about 10% every hour. So because of that, it's only going to cost you about $10,000-ish profit per hour. Overall, the nightclub on the popularity bar is going to earn you $62,500 every single hour. If you add in the cost of swapping DJs, it is going to be $56,250 an hour. So it's only about a $6,000 difference per hour you're missing out on. But if you don't want to lose any money per hour, then just kick people out of your club and make sure that you're doing the missions to keep it as high as possible. Now we break into the other way, which is also passive, of making money with a nightclub. Now this way, you actually don't need to keep the popularity up or anything. You don't need to purchase goods, but you do need to own other businesses. For example, there's cargo and shipments, sporting goods, South American imports, pharmaceutical research, cash creation, organic produce, and printing and copying. These are all respective to different businesses that you can own around the game. Cargo and shipments correspond to the hangar or special cargo warehouse. Sporting goods correspond to gun running bunker. South American imports correspond to the coke lockup. Pharmaceutical research is obviously the math lab. Cash creation is the counterfeit cash factory. Organic produce is the weed farm, and printing and copying is the document forgery office. The way in order they're going to make the most money is, starting off, we've got pharmaceutical research and South American imports. This is $13,500 and $11,500 per hour. Then you're going to make your way over to cash creation at $9,450. Then we have cargo and shipments at $8,570, and to finish off, we have sporting goods at $7,500. If you add all of that together, you are going to have $50,500 per hour. Something a lot of YouTubers forget to mention about the nightclub is that you do have to pay a 10% fee to Tony when you do the sale mission. So it's actually closer to $45,500 an hour if you're using the best 5 goods with your warehouse technicians. If you pair that with the $56,250 an hour that you can be earning with your nightclub popularity, that is just about $100,000 every hour. That's really nice. The best thing is, when it comes to the nightclub popularity, to grab the money, you just have have to walk over to your nightclub safe, grab the money, and that's all you got to do. And the sale missions for the nightclub are also really, really easy. I usually suggest to do them in public lobbies if you want to get that high demand bonus, but if you don't, you can still make a lot of money, and it's a single vehicle sale mission, which means they're fairly quick, only taking about 5 to 10 minutes to do. So overall, the nightclub is an absolute S-tier business when it comes to passive income. You're easily going to be earning millions upon millions of dollars with it. Next up, we arrive at the arcade. Now, this is probably the simplest of passive businesses in the entire game. All you need to do is stock your arcade full of machines. Now, this is really easy. If you buy Monkey's Paradise, which is the cheapest arcade machine, you can put it in every single slot when you are customizing it. That means that technically your arcade machine is going to have max popularity, earning you the potential of $6,000 every hour. Yeah, it's pretty lame income. You literally have to play GTA for like 20 hours to make a decent chunk of money, and even then it's only $120,000. So yeah, the arcade, it's not going to be making you rich, but it is still free money in the background. I've collected at this point probably close to $2 million just from the passive income, and it's a nice little bit of extra money for ammo, snacks, things like that. We move on to the Chop Shop, the newest business added into Grand Theft Auto Online. The Chop Shop actually has a really good way of making passive income paired with some instant cash. You have tow truck missions, and the way these work is pretty easy. You're going to go take a car that's parked somewhere. Sometimes you'll have to lose cops, you might have to kill a couple people, but usually you're literally taking a car and bringing it back to the auto shop. Once you have done that, after 48 minutes, you're going to get upwards of $20,000 to $40,000, and you're going to get $24,000 of passive income that is going to slowly decrease over time. You can source 2 vehicles every 48 minutes, and they're very quick. It's only going to take you like 5 to 10 minutes to get both vehicles back, and once you've done it, you're going to be making $24,000 passive income, and you're going to be getting about $60,000 to $70,000 after 48 minutes of hard cash. So it's actually a really, really solid way of making some passive income, especially because you don't really need to do all too much. Next up, we have kind of a weird business. This is special cargo. Now, for many years, special cargo was only an active business, where you would literally only be able to make money if you were constantly sourcing and selling crates. And while that part of the business is still available, Rockstar has added a new way to passively make money with the business, and that is by using Lupe's assistance and sourcing goods. If you own a small, medium, or large warehouse, you will find inside of those warehouses an assistant waiting for you. Paying them $7,500 will cause them to go and source you 1 to 3 crates on average. If you have 5 large warehouses and you have each assistant sourcing for a warehouse, you're going to be earning upwards of $144,000 every single hour. But obviously, small and medium warehouses not only don't hold as much product, but also don't have as much value in the product themselves. So you're going to be making less and less money the smaller the warehouses you own. So if you plan to fully capitalize on this passive style of income, I would highly recommend to purchase large warehouses. I should mention that this $144,000 is adding into the equation the amount of money you're going to spend on each source. This is actually one of the most efficient ways of making money when it comes to passive income. The only problem is you need to drop a lot of money. Each warehouse is going to cost $2 to $4 million. So yeah, it's going to cost a lot of money to buy these warehouses. I would highly recommend to wait for a week where they are on sale. But even then, you're still going to be dropping at least $9 to $10 million to get all 5 warehouses. So that's something you do have to keep in mind. We make our way to a business that I personally don't recommend to spend your money on, and that is the motorcycle club businesses. Now, they are a good investment if you just buy the properties and leave them dormant so that you can have your nightclub accruing goods with the technicians. But I wouldn't actually recommend to do too much with the motorcycle club. Maybe the Coke lockup, that one's alright. It does actually have a decent sale mission payout, but the rest, they're pretty dang useless. In fact, the document forgery is so bad that when you do a sale mission, you're going to lose money with this business than actually make money. That's how bad it is. So I can't recommend the document forgery at all. The rest, you will make money. The problem is you need to buy upgrades for all the businesses, and these upgrades are going to cost you $2 million to $3 million depending on on how nice the property is. Not only that, but the sale missions take a very long time. They're very painful in general. But I will say that the Coke Lockup makes around $90,000 an hour, which is actually pretty decent. The Math Lab makes around $70,000 an hour, and it slowly decreases with each property. Overall, the way these businesses work is very simple. Making your way inside, you will see a product and supplies bar. As you can see from my Coke Lockup, I'm full on product, so I can very easily do a sale mission, but my supplies are basically empty. So I'm going to purchase supplies for $60,000. Now, in about 10 to 15-ish minutes, supplies are going to be delivered to this business, and it's going to start making money. You are going to have to purchase upgrades. You can see the equipment upgrade's $935,000. Staff upgrade is $390,000, which just alone there is about 1.4 mil. If you also purchase the security upgrade, which is another $600,000, then you're going to be looking at around $2 million to fully upgrade this business. The reason why I would actually say purchasing security can be a good idea is because motorcycle clubs tend to be raided quite commonly. And if you like to call in your Oppressor Mark II through your interaction menu in the motorcycle club tab, then you're probably going to want to buy that upgrade. As I said, I personally don't recommend to invest your time in the motorcycle club businesses. I just don't think they're worth your time or money. The sale missions take forever, they constantly get raided, and they really don't make that much money. And that's my personal opinion. I know people will disagree, but I would just say spend your time doing other things like the Cayo Perico heist or, things like that. We now make our way to a business that is identical in how it works to the motorcycle club, except much better in execution and how much money you're able to make. This is the bunker. The great thing about the bunker is it doesn't matter whether you are part of a motorcycle club or a CEO, you can always join this business and do a sale mission, meaning that you're not going to have to worry about raids or anything else like that. And while this business can get raided itself, I have literally never had it happen. I've done 41 sale missions, made $20 million from this property, and yeah, I don't own the upgrade when it comes to the security. It's cheap, it's only $300,000, but seriously, I've almost never been raided in this property. It just doesn't really happen. So because of that, you're not going to have to worry all too much. The resupplying is exactly the same as the motorcycle club. You're going to spend $75,000 on products, and you're going to watch your supply bar fill up. You can see that we are at about 80% full, and we're at $355,000. When you get completely full, it will fill up to $500,000, and then you can do a sale mission. Now, personally, I recommend to do a sale mission on one resupply's worth. What I mean by that is if your stock is at $0 and you purchase $75,000 worth of supplies, you should sell right after that because it's only going to be one sale vehicle. Every single time you purchase a supply run, it is going to be an additional vehicle added. So right now at 80% stock, I'm going to have at least 3, possibly 4 vehicles I'll have to do depending on what sale mission I get. So that is something to keep in mind. But I would highly recommend to participate in the bunker. It's a great property. You can get them for fairly cheap and the upgrades are very much so worth it. You also have another way of making money. This isn't necessarily passive, but essentially every 48 minutes you get an excess weapons delivery available, and you can drive this to any gun store that it pings on the map, and then after that you get $50,000 from driving there. It's that simple. It's like a 2-3 mile journey half the time. Let's see how far I have to drive this time. Yeah, 3 miles, and when I get there, I'm going to get $50,000. It's only going to take me like 2 to 3 minutes. It's basically a free way to take what is a $75,000 charge to resupply your business down to a $25,000 supply. Now we break into what is one of my favorite passive businesses, the Acid Lab. This business is great for a lot of reasons. First of all, it can never be raided. That alone is absolutely amazing. But it gets even better because you get a super armored 6x6 truck, which is great at off-roading and basically indestructible. Not only is the truck really, really good in that category, but inside of the truck is actually your mobile business, which allows you to make a lot of money. Plus, all the other properties, you have to make your way either to the arcade at the terminal command center to purchase your supplies, or you have to physically go to each property, like go to the bunker, purchase the supplies. However, when it comes to the Acid Lab, all you need to do is scroll on your contacts until you find Mutt. If you call Mutt on the phone, he will allow you to purchase supplies at any time. That is incredibly nice. Now, inside the Acid Lab, you can boost production. So you can see here, I'm going to mess around with these little test tubes. And when I do that for about 48 minutes, the boost is going to double all of the product made in the Acid Lab. So if you only plan on playing GTA for maybe an hour or two a day, this is a great passive business because it's going to be earning double the income that it normally would. The Acid Lab makes $70,000 an hour, so if you add on that little boost, it's probably closer to like $85,000, $90,000 an hour. The fact that it can't be rated is absolutely amazing. It also has a single vehicle sale mission. It's just an incredible business. The only real downside of the Acid Lab is that it doesn't give you that much money. It's only $330,000 for a sale mission. It's really not that much. I usually recommend to sell it in a public lobby so you can at least make $500,000, but yeah, it's a little unfortunate there. You can get your hands on the Acid Lab for free if you complete the first dose missions, and those are pretty easy. If you make your way over to Sandy Shores, you'll see the 24/7 with a golden R standing for Ron. If you go through that cutscene and then make your way over to the Freak Shop, which I'm currently at, you'll be able to complete a series of missions for Dax, and you can get your hands on the Acid Lab for free. You still need to purchase the upgrade for 700,000, but it's not too bad. We now arrive at the hangar, which features one of the simplest passive income methods of them all. You literally walk over to this dude sitting in the corner of your building, and you purchase supplies from him for $25,000. Congratulations! You have now completed the passive guide for the hangar. Yeah, it's pretty dang easy. The only problem is you're barely making any income with the hangar. Rooster will allow you to purchase supplies once every 48 minutes. And in those 48 minutes, he's going to arrive back with 1 or 2 crates. It's a 75% chance to be 1 crate, which leaves a 25% chance to be 2 crates. And yeah, that's about it. You're paying $25,000 to get a crate worth either $30,000 or 2 crates worth $60,000. So it's all right if you plan on just, hopping and skipping over here really quickly, paying him, and then leaving. But apart from that, I can't say it's anything too impressive. Before we break into the final business, I thought I would very briefly talk about the clubhouse, which I almost forgot about. Inside the clubhouse, you can order supplies, or actually steal supplies that are working your bar. And the more supplies you steal, the more people that will come to your bar, and the more passive income you'll make. I'll be honest, it's a really bad way of making money. I couldn't find any real numbers or figures on how much it makes, and I remember I tested it back in the day. It's not a good way of making money, so to be honest, I wouldn't even recommend to waste your time on it. That brings us to the final passive somewhat business. This one is going to go into the random style as well, but this is the agency. And the agency actually has an incredible way of making passive income. You can see my wall safe has $168,000, and all I need to do is walk over to that safe and grab the money. The agency's maximum passive income is $20,000 every single 48 minutes, or, because I like to do everything hourly, $25,000 every single hour. The way to get this income is pretty easy, and it gives you a bunch of extra cash, and that is doing security contracts. You can see in front of me, I have gang termination, rescue operation, and liquidize assets. To start one of these contracts, it's going to be very easy, and it's going to pay me $40,000 for the rescue operation. Not only am I going to get $40,000 for doing this, but I'm also going to get $500 of passive income every hour as long as I complete 5 contracts. So it just keeps stacking over and over and over. You need to do 200 contracts in total to get the maximum income of $25,000 every hour. It's actually quite nice that you can make this much money, and by the way, it never decreases. So once you complete these 200 contracts, you are getting a permanent $20,000 for your life. It's actually super, super nice, and because of that, I really, really like the agency. And that is every single passive business available in Grand Theft Auto Online. So now we arrive to the active businesses. Now, the easiest way to describe an active business is one that you have to constantly be doing something to making money. If you're not sourcing, selling, then you're not making any profit. You have to do the work yourself. And we arrive back at the agency once again. Now, the agency, as we just went over, has security contracts. And I would also classify these security contracts as an active way of making money, because you have to physically do these contracts over and over and over to make money and get that passive income when it comes to this property. So it's definitely a passive style way of making money, but you need to use a lot of active business tactics to get that passive income gained. Not only that, but we also have the VIP contract. I don't really know whether to call this a heist or a way of making money. We're just going to call it a heist for now because that's what I always like to call it, the Dr. Dre heist. But essentially, doing the VIP contract is going to take you, on average, about an hour and 15 to 30 minutes, depending on how fast you are at completing it. And once you get to the later stages, you can see that the missions will actually appear right in front of you. Doing these missions will net you $1 million, which is actually really, really nice. But obviously, you have to constantly be doing these missions. You have to complete, I think it's 11 in total, so you do have to do quite a bit. Some of them are very tricky. They will take a lot of time. There's a lot of cutscenes, but it is by far one of the most efficient ways of making money in the game. And there's still one other active way of making money, and that is going onto your phone and calling Franklin. You can see we're going to scroll in our contacts until we find him. And actually, we don't even need to call Franklin. You can see in front of us, we have a payphone going off. And if I go onto my phone, I can request a payphone hit. Of course, it's not letting me do one because I have one right in front of me. But when you request a payphone hit, you can start up a mission. This mission is going to pay you $45,000 when you complete it, and you can restart it in another 10 minutes. These missions should only take you 3 to 5 minutes to complete. So they're actually a pretty solid way of making some money if you're doing downtime. Let's say you've just done a source for your hangar and you've got a 3-minute cooldown before you can do another source. Well, then you can go onto your phone, call Franklin, do a quick payphone hit, and then do another hangar source. And then after the hangar source is over, go back on your phone, call Franklin, do another payphone hit. It's a really, really good way of just getting some extra cash thrown into your bank account. Payphone hits have been nerfed, they've been buffed, they've been changed around quite a bit. Originally, they used to pay you $85,000 with only a 15-minute cooldown, and then Rockstar nerfed the cooldown to like 45 minutes for the $85,000, and now it's $45,000 with a 10-minute cooldown. They just keep getting changed and changed and changed. But I think right now they're in a pretty good state, and as long as you can do them pretty efficiently, you'll make a pretty good amount of money. We now break into the most grindy business in all of GTA, which is special cargo. This business is literally source, sell, over and over and over for basically existence. This is a money grinder's dream. The only problem with special cargo is actually when it comes to earning money with it, it's not a great business. I mean, the passive side is great, which we talked about earlier, but the actual active side of it, constantly sourcing crates, makes this a very, very poor property. Even if you're looking at double money weekends, you're still only going to be earning around $1 million on average an hour, and judging that you can earn upwards of $2 million on average an hour doing things like the Cayo Perico heist paired with the agency, I don't really think that this is that good of a way of making money. Tryhards will argue to their heart's content that earning money with active special cargo grinding is great, but trust me, it's not. I've done the numbers. I actually have a whole video breaking into why it's not very good. You're going to be earning probably around $500,000 an hour with this business if you are doing active grinding. And that is if you are sourcing 3 crates at a time, which is by far the most efficient way to do it. If you're sourcing the single or double crates, yes, it is cheaper, which in theory means that you're saving more money, but the problem isn't that it's cheaper, the problem is that it takes much longer to source 2 crates than it does 3. 2 crates, you have to go back and forth once and twice, and with 3, you're just going back and forth 3 times. You're just saving a lot more time than having to do extra and extra sale missions every single source. So always source 3 crates. Now the sources themselves are pretty easy. All you're going to do is you're going to go complete a mission. There's a couple different missions that you'll get. There's new Lupe missions, which absolutely suck. These missions involve you going all the way into the ocean, going to dive and grab some crates, open up the crates. They just absolutely suck. So the Lupe missions are a bit painful. Other missions might involve you breaking into an auto shop, stealing a van inside. Usually there's 2 different types though. There's the missions where all you need to do is grab a vehicle and bring it over to your warehouse. Those missions are very easy, and they should only take you about 3 to 4 minutes. And then there's the missions that involve you killing 3 individual people or finding 3 individual crates, where you have to bring each crate back one at a time to your warehouse. depending on what missions you get, will drastically affect how quickly you can accrue goods in your warehouse. But at the end of the day, I can't really say special cargo is a great business. It's very outdated. Its way of making money with this passive income is great. So if you're planning on doing it just for the passive, I would highly recommend to. But if you're planning on grinding and grinding and grinding, I really can't say that special cargo is anything too impressive. And you may have noticed I've made upwards of $80 million on this account with special cargo. It's in fact the most money I've made in the game. But you have to also add into the fact that each source you do is going to cost you money. It's costing me $18,000 just for the source alone. So to fill an entire large warehouse, it's going to take you upwards of $660,000. And if you try to sell in a public lobby to increase that big payout you're going to get, you have the possibility that somebody's going to blow up your products. So special cargo, it's fun, and it definitely can be great if all you want to do is grind and do the same thing over and over and over. But for me, and for the majority of players, I really can't recommend to participate in this business. Just like how in the bunker you are able to export excess weapons parts for $50,000, you can also do that inside of your office building. You can see if I walk up to my assistant, I can export mixed goods, and this is going to pay me $50,000. All we need to do is head over to the terminal. After delivering the goods to the terminal, you're going to get your $50,000. I actually like doing this mission more than the excess weapons parts because it's always in the city and you're always going to the same dock. It's really, really easy because of this. Just like excess weapons parts, it is going to be a 48-minute cooldown before you can do this again, but hey, it's a free $50,000. The final business associated with your CEO is vehicle cargo. Just like special cargo sourcing, you're going to head over to your computer and you can see the second tab says vehicle cargo. After purchasing a vehicle cargo warehouse, which you can see on the warehouse map, you can start sourcing. I would highly recommend to own the La Mesa warehouse. It is the cheapest by far. I think it's only about 1.5 million, and it's literally next to warehouses that are 2.8 and 2.7 million. So definitely would recommend to buy this property. It's also directly next to the highway, which makes it very, very quick to deliver from. So once you've owned your warehouse, all you need to do is source a vehicle. Sourcing the vehicles are usually very, very easy. For example, this mission, I need to drive 3.7 miles in 3 minutes. And judging that I'm in a supercar, this is going to be super, super easy to complete. Some of the missions can be a bit tedious, where you're going to have to lose cops or deal with people chasing you. And that is most likely the case for this one. I think there are actually bad guys that will start to chase me, even though I've won the car. So you are going to have to be careful. Usually there's 3 waves of people. You can either kill them or you can just try to ignore them and drive as fast as possible. The thing about vehicle cargo, though, is that you're going to notice when the car gets shot, it will take damage. You can see just alone there, we have to pay $2,000 for a repair cost. So something that's actually kind of smart about vehicle cargo is if you have very little money in your bank account or you've been waiting to buy a property, I would highly recommend to buy it right before you start sourcing, because if you do, all the repair costs, if you have 0 money in your account, are free, which is kind of a little bit of a cheat. But for the most part, these missions are really easy to do. You can see, yeah, like I had one wave of people shoot at me, but that's it. It's $2,000, and then I keep on driving. And they're going to come at me again. I'll probably have to pay another $1,000 if they hit me a little bit. But as long as you're a decent driver, these missions aren't going to be all too challenging. You can also either steal or use a personal cargo bob to pick up and deliver vehicles to your warehouse. However, I don't really do that. I mean, sure, it might save you some damage costs, but it's also very, very expensive to purchase a cargo bob and not really worth the investment, in my opinion. If you already own one, it's not a terrible idea, but if you don't, I really can't suggest to spend your money on a cargo bob to save $2,000 here and there on vehicle damages. Now, there is a way to only get top-range vehicles in your garage. You will notice that I have a list of standard, medium, and top range vehicles. So if we go to standard range, you will see that in total there are 10 cars. We have 8 here and then 2 at the bottom. If we go to mid range, you will see that once again there are a total of 10 cars. There are 10 standard and 10 mid-range vehicles that are unique in the game. And if you go to top range, there are 12. If you keep sourcing and sourcing and sourcing, the game will make sure that it doesn't give you duplicates. So what you want to do is you want to source all the standard and all the mid-range vehicles. There's 20 in total. And once you get all 20, you are only going to get top ranges. So if I keep selling my top range vehicles and I keep sourcing, I'm only going to be getting replacement top range cars, which is a way to basically cheat the system and make the most money possible. Selling these vehicles is also very easy. You're going to click Export Specialist Dealer to get the most money possible, and once you've done that, literally just spam whatever options you want. I really like this business because it allows you to customize what vehicles are really cool. Maybe you want to try out the ETR1 before buying one for yourself. Well, you can do that here. You can change the colors, you can change the wheel type. However, it doesn't really matter too much to me because we're selling this vehicle and I already own a personal ETR1. Now, this is a huge caveat which you need to keep in mind about this business, and if you don't, it might come back to haunt you. Selling in a solo session will cause enemy AI to spawn on you, and these AI will absolutely obliterate the value of your car unless you wait for them and kill them. However, oh, and you can see them right there. So these guys are going to shoot at my car over and over. It's going to spawn in total 3 waves of these AI. If you don't want to deal with them, if you go into a public lobby, even if it's a public lobby with just one other person, you are guaranteed to never get the AIs. So I always recommend to sell this business in a public lobby. But there's really good news. First of all, you're in a really fast car, and you can't lock onto these vehicles with missiles of any sort. So it means that for the most part, people usually don't go out of their way to blow up vehicle cargo. In fact, you also just noticed that my tire got shot out. So now we have a flat tire while I'm being shot at by the AI. So, yeah, I would not recommend to do vehicle cargo sale missions in a solo lobby. I would much rather recommend to only sell in public sessions. But it's actually quite nice, because not only do you have to not worry about any NPCs trying to shoot at your car, but even better than that, you also get a high demand bonus. So if there's 21 people or more in a public lobby, you're actually going to make upwards of $150,000, minus the $20K you've spent on the upgrades for the sale mission. I will admit that vehicle cargo isn't the best when it comes to making money. You can sell 3 vehicles an hour. If you're getting the max income of $130K, that is $390,000 an hour. But when you realize that you're only putting in about maybe 10-15 minutes of work to make that amount of money back, it's actually pretty all right. If you pair vehicle cargo with payphone hits and some passive businesses, you can easily be making upwards of $1 million an hour, and it is 10,000 times more fun, in my opinion, than constantly grinding special cargo. Let me know in the comments what you like better, special cargo or vehicle cargo. But either way, it's an alright business. I can't say it's anything crazy good, but at least you don't have to spend $15 million on special cargo warehouses to get your vehicle cargo set up. Now we break into one of the weirder ways of making money when it comes to an active business, which is the chop shop. You see, earlier we talked about the tow truck missions and how you can go source a vehicle very quickly, bring it back to the chop shop, and make passive income while also getting a decent chunk of cash. Well, there's also the second stage of the business, which is very similar to vehicle cargo in the fact that you are stealing a car. The difference is these are more like mini heists. So as you can see in front, I have a Fathom FR36. I can sell the vehicle for $360,000, or I can salvage it for $290,000. I have to do 2 things of planning work, and then I also have to do optional tasks. So in total, it's going to probably take me about an hour, maybe more, to do all these missions if I'm taking my time. And in that amount of time, I'm going to make about $360,000. It's not awful, but it's also not very good. But there is a way to actually make this business a little bit better, and that is the salvage value. You see, salvaging the vehicle on paper says it gives you less money, but it also gives you passive income of $24,000 for every single, or actually it's like $30,000 an hour. It's $24,000 every 48 minutes. So if you salvage the car, not only do you get $288,000, but you also get passive income. So you're probably going to make about $500,000 per car you salvage on average, which is actually pretty decent. The major reason why I don't recommend the chop shop is because you're only allowed to do 3 cars a week. That's really lame, to be completely honest, and kind of defeats the purpose of this property and why I would much rather recommend to do vehicle cargo. Now we break into the auto shop, which is actually one of the best active businesses in the game if given a proper week. Now there's a couple different ways you can make money with this business. First of all, we have modifying a vehicle. You can see there's a checklist and I have to do certain things. So if we go to service and service vehicle, I can respray the car and I need to do it black. So we got to scroll over here, anthratic black. I don't know how you pronounce that, but either way, we did that. And now we're going to go to performance upgrades and it wants me to do turbo tuning. So I'll put that on. Once you finish fully upgrading this vehicle, you are are able to bring it to a client for, I think it's like $40,000 to $50,000. The part of the business that's actually really, really good is the upstairs, and this is the client jobs. These contracts pay you pretty good money. As we can see, $180,000, $185,000, $172. And the best part about these contracts is you can completely ignore them. So for example, if I go to the job board and I start up the lost contract, well now I can go leave my auto shop very quickly. I can go over to my phone and I can call Sacenta. Now, calling Sacenta on the phone will allow me to cancel the job I have just picked. So you're going to see I can cancel job contracts. There you go. Now, after canceling it, we can head back into our auto shop. And if we go take a look at the board, there are going to be 3 new jobs available. The reason you want to do this is specifically because of the Union Depository job. So if we head upstairs very quickly, we can see right at the top, we have the Union Depository contract. This is going to pay $300,000, and it's actually a decent way of making money. It only takes about 15-ish minutes to do the Union Depository, so you can make about $1.2 million an hour just by using that method right there without even adding in passive or anything else. And it gets even better, because when Rockstar has double money or triple money weekends, you can actually roll in money like crazy. So I would highly recommend to actually own an auto shop just for the money making. But it's also very nice because you have a really, really customizable building. You can upgrade all the vehicles inside of your auto shop at a 5% discount on everything. All resprays are free when it comes to classic paint jobs, and if you're below level 100, and let's say you don't have turbo tuning, engine upgrades fully unlocked, or spoiler options, in the auto shop, every upgrade is unlocked no matter what level you are. So the auto shop is probably one of the best beginner businesses in the game. It comes with a garage, which is really, really nice. It's just a great property in general. I would highly recommend to get your hands on an auto shop. I should also mention that every time you complete a job in the auto shop, it's going to raise your LS car meet level, which is going to give you discounts, it's going to give you vehicles. It's just really, really good in general. And now we break into one of the most deceiving active businesses in the game, which is the hangar. Rockstar has buffed the hangar a lot. Originally, it used to be awful, and then I think they tripled the income you can make with the hangar, and still, it's not a good business. The maximum amount of money that you can earn hourly with this business is about $750,000, and that is if you are grinding every single second you possibly can, and you're adding in the high demand bonus. Without the high demand bonus, you're making $500,000 an hour. Why is this business so mediocre? Well, it's mainly because of the fact of how the sale missions work. For example, a single sale mission can earn you a ridiculous amount of money, upwards of $2+ million. But to get that $2 million bonus, you have to sell a single type of product. So when I'm sourcing chemicals, for example, I need to source only chemicals 50 times, and then I will get a 75% sale bonus for only sourcing one type of good. If I source half chemicals and half medical supplies, I'm not going to get any bonus. And because of that, you always want to try and source one good. But this obviously eats in the time, because after you've sourced chemicals once, there's going to be a 3-minute cooldown before you can source it once again. So you're going to have to wait 3 minutes doing nothing. Usually what I do is I just sit at the chair, watch a quick 3-minute YouTube video, and then I go back to sourcing. Now, to be fair, I've made a lot of money with this business, and if you just source like one crate a day, eventually you will make a decent chunk just by doing a sale mission. But even then, it's still taking the exact same amount of time. If you were to take that 3 minutes every day it takes me to source and add it all together, it's still going to be the same time whether I did that or source them all at once. So while the hangar business looks really promising, it's just not good for making money. I can't really recommend to do this. You're going to make about the same hourly just doing payphone hits and vehicle cargo, and you're going to have way, way more fun. The only real reason I can recommend to buy the hangar is so you can obviously purchase all these cool flying vehicles, not necessarily the earning side of the property. And now we break into the final category for today's video, the miscellaneous category. The way this one works is quite simple. These are businesses that people might not fully classify as a business. For example, I always get in heated debates whether heists are a business or a property that you can earn a lot of money with. I personally call heists a type of business, but there's a lot of people that disagree. So we're just throwing it in the miscellaneous category so everybody can be happy. But starting off, we have the Operation Terminal, which is Project Overthrow and LSA operations. This is the little command center you can buy inside the Avenger. Personally, I think it's an absolute waste of money. These missions here are kind of pointless. The only thing they're going to do is give you a trade price on the F-160 Raiju, but the amount of money it costs to buy this terminal is about the same money you'll save on the Raiju, so yeah, just buy the jet and don't waste your time doing these missions. The way to make money is Los Santos Angels. You can do these 3 missions here, which will pay you from $40,000 to $55,000. They are just a waste of time, though. They take a lot longer than they should. You can do a payphone hit, and it'll be way easier. So I really just can't recommend to do anything with Project Overthrow, and trust me, I'm not the only YouTuber that says this. I don't think there's actually a single YouTuber that thinks Project Overthrow is a good way to spend your time trying to earn money. Up next, we have one of the most important pieces of property to own in Grand Theft Auto Online, and that is the Kosatka. This is how you can start up the Cayo Perico heist, which is by far the most efficient way of making money in Grand Theft Auto Online. Even for what is one of the worst takes, the bearer bonds, which is $770,000, just grabbing secondary targets and getting the bonus of not getting detected, I can easily bring home over $1 million in about 40 minutes of work from start to finish. I've posted quite a few videos on the channel, and I'll link one in the description if you want to see how to complete the Cayo Perico heist in 40 to 45 minutes, depending on your skill level. I mean, you can do it faster, but it starts to become really stressful the faster and faster you try to complete the heist. But you can very easily do it in 40 minutes without really breaking too much of a sweat. Now, not only does the Kosatka have the Cayo Perico heist, but it also has 2 very good modes of transportation. The first is one of the best flying vehicles in the game, which is the Sparrow. This has missiles, it has flares, and it's the 2nd fastest flying helicopter in the game at 168 miles per hour. So really, it's just an absolute steal. And then if we make our way down, we can also see we have the Toreador stored in here. It's basically just a free garage slot, and it's an easy way to remember where your Toreador is stored on your garage list. This is one of the best vehicles in the game to own, and I would highly recommend to get your hands on one. So the Kosatka is really just a great property, and out of all the things I've talked about today, I would highly recommend that this is one of the most important purchases you can make. We arrive once again at the arcade. Now, not only does the arcade have the slight passive income, but it also features one of the best heists available in the game, which is the Diamond Casino heist. You can actually see it on my planning board right in front of you here. I can already set it up if I want. We have to scope out the casino, scope out the vault contents. It is definitely a tedious heist, and you will have to do quite a bit to set it up. You also cannot start it as a solo player, but this is actually just as good, if not better, than the Cayo Perico heist, because doing this will give you a very good payout. It hasn't been nerfed, it hasn't been changed where the Cayo Perico's has. So this is a really good way of making money if you have a friend that you want to chill with and complete the heist at the same time. Plus, there's a lot of different ways you can complete the heist, which is pretty dang cool. The other thing that is great about the arcade is the fact that you have the Terminal Command Center. This command center allows you to stock all of your passive businesses. So as we can see, I can stock my gun running business if I want. I can purchase supplies here. Then I can go to my nightclub and I can change my nightclub popularity and my management and all those things. Then you can go to motorcycle club and your vehicle cargo. So this is just a great business in general if you want to manage all of your other businesses from one area. So I would highly, highly recommend to purchase an arcade, not necessarily for the passive income, but just because of the fact that A, if you want to do a heist, you can, and B, you can also get all the things you need stored right on the Terminal Command Center. We move on to the facility, which is actually a pretty good property, I'm not going to lie. The problem is you need 2 people to make it work. The first thing about the facility that's quite nice is the limited selection of vehicles that you can only own in this property. For example, this is the jetpack, and you can only own the thruster in your facility. You can also get one inside your Avenger, but, well, unfortunately, the one inside the Avenger doesn't have weapons. You can also purchase a tank, which can only be stored in the facility, which is pretty cool. You can get the RCV, which is an absolute waste of money. Same for the Chernobog, but it is kind of unique that at least you can store these vehicles in your facility. And unlike how vehicle cargo, you have the vehicle stored underneath that you really can't call in unless you go near an interaction menu, these vehicles you can call in all through calling your mechanic, which is really dang nice. The facility also has a really solid way of making money, and that's the heists. You have to run all the way to the other side of the building to get to them, but you will actually make pretty good money from these heists because Rockstar has absolutely doubled every single payout. The problem is that you need 2 people to do them. And it's not like the arcade where there's another way of making money. This is the only way of making money when it comes to the facility is the Doomsday Heist scenario. So because of that, you need 2 people. But that's all you really need. So if you do have a friend that you want to hang out with and you want to have a lot of fun, I would highly recommend to purchase the facility. Even if you only do 1 run through on it, it's still a really good way to spend your money because of the fact these heists are actually quite fun, the storyline's pretty cool, and you get really good discounts on vehicles that are super important, like the Deluxo, absolute important thing to get a discount on. So I actually really like the facility, but as I said, you need friends. You need 2 people. If you don't have them, then there's no reason to really purchase this property. Making your way to any high-end apartment, we arrive at the final way to make money with heists, which is the OG heists. We have the Fleeca job, the Prison Break, the Humane Labs raid, the Series A funding, and Pacific Standard job. Now, there's one drawback with these 5 heists, and that is the fact that you need 4 people to start them. I know the payouts aren't great. To be fair, Rockstar, I'm pretty sure, doubled the payouts, but even with them doubled, they're not the best thing ever. You can easily do the Cayo Pre-Con heist and make more money, but this is more the memories you make along the way. These heists are really fun, and if you're doing them with friends, you're always going to have a blast. Plus, if you really, really want to make a lot of money, you can do the Criminal Mastermind Challenge, which will pay you $10 million. You have to complete every single heist on the hardest difficulty and not fail once. Or no, you can fail, you can't die, is what it is. So, pretty dang tricky, but it's really fun. I've completed it with friends, and I would highly recommend that if you do want a really big challenge in GTA, this is something that you strive to do. These heists are fine, and it's not really a property. I mean, it is a property, but it's not like a business. You just need to buy a high-end apartment. Judging that you can buy a high-end apartment for $230,000, this really isn't much of a hindrance. It's more just like, do it if you want to, and if you don't, then I guess it's there if you ever in the future find some people to chill out and hang with. High-end apartments really don't matter which one you buy, though. I always recommend to buy the ones like directly in the center of the city. You can see mine here. That way, if you ever plan on doing the heist, it's closest to every single different area you want to go to. So, yeah. Scattered across the map of Los Santos, there are time trials. 4 of them to be exact if you're playing on new generation console, and 3 if you're playing on PC and previous gen consoles. Time trials are actually a pretty decent way of getting some very quick spending cash if that's what you're trying to get. For example, I can very quickly do this time trial here, which will take me about 46 or so seconds, and in return, I'm going to net $100,000. But you don't just have to do one time trial, you can also do the junk energy time trials, which you can do once a day. Those are going to net you $50,000 every time you complete them, and they're also really easy. They should only take you probably about, I don't know, 2-3 minutes to complete. Then you have the HSW time trial, which is going to pay you $200,000, which is quite nice. You can see there, I just beat the time trial and I made $101,000. That took me 44 seconds. So time trials are really, really easy. And as I said, there's 4 of them. You can easily make upwards of $500,000-$600,000 a week just doing time trials. And it's only going to take you probably about 15 to 20 minutes to complete all of them in total every week. This next business is a rather interesting one, and it's especially great if you are a new player, called Life and Death Bikes. Making your way inside your motorcycle clubhouse, you will see that there's a job board on the wall. And taking a look at this job board, you will see 3 different jobs. Now, right now, we've got Torched, Hit the Roof, and Outrider. I don't want these jobs. Specifically, we're looking for Life and Death Bikes. But that's very easy. All we need to do is go to Preferences, change our spawn location to our clubhouse. We just got to scroll and scroll and scroll. There you go. Great Chaparral Clubhouse. Now we're going to go to Online, find a new session. When you do this, it is going to load you into a new invite-only session. And it's only going to take about maybe 10-15 seconds to do this. You can see we're already loading back in. Once we load back into this property, we're going to go back over to the job board and see if Life and Death Bikes is there. If it's not, then we rinse and repeat over and over and over until it is. It usually should only take about 2 repeats, and then you'll get Life and Death Bikes available. So let's go head over to the job board and see if it's there this time. And as we can see, it's not there, but it does change the jobs. So when you find Life and Death Bikes, it should only take you about 3 to 4 minutes to complete. I have a whole tutorial on the channel on how to use it, and you can easily make upwards of $500,000 an hour just doing this. Judging that you can get a clubhouse for about $200,000 as a new player, it's an absolute great way of starting off as a new player and making a lot of money. So I would highly recommend to do so. As of right now, these are all the businesses that I'm going to be adding for today's video and guide on every single business and property in Grand Theft Auto Online. Let me know if I missed something. Let me know if there's something you'd like me to make a follow-up video on, because I'm always down to do that. This took a lot of time, and we're not done yet. There's still one last thing we're going to do, which is talk about locations. Let's head over to our phone and take a look at all these properties. So we're going to start off with Maze Bank Foreclosure. And as we can see, there's a lot of different properties. So we're going to start off with clubhouses and make our way down the list. So with clubhouses, honestly, doesn't really matter where it is. To be fair, if you own a clubhouse like this one right here, your Life and Death Bikes missions are usually like right next to where this clubhouse is. But I usually just recommend to buy the cheapest one, which is the Great Chaparral Clubhouse. Mine was free because I own the Criminal Enterprise Starter Pack. But yeah, clubhouses, it really doesn't matter what location you buy. You're almost never going to go to this property unless you're a new player, so can't really say that matters too much. When it comes to bunkers, this here is definitely the best location. But if you want to save some money, because I'm pretty sure the farmhouse bunker is like 2.5 million, and that's without even adding on upgrades, I would recommend to buy this bunker. The Chumash bunker is only 1.6 million. It's right next to the city. It's right on the highway, which means it's a super easy drive to get to the city, doing sale missions. It's actually a great location. Compare the Chumash bunker to the ones in Sandy Shores, and these are all 2 million, 1.9, 2.2. So this is actually the best location for the price tag by far. Definitely go for the Chumash bunker. Next up, we have hangars. Hangars doesn't really matter in my opinion. If you want low-level clearance inside the military base, then get one of these hangars. Go for the cheapest one, which is the one I own. Why buy the more expensive ones? There's no reason. Buy the cheapest one. They all have the same storage, everything. Literally makes no sense why you'd buy a more expensive one. And then you can also get these ones in Los Santos. I actually don't mind these. These are great if you only plan on staying in the city. The only problem is that when you're doing your missions, the areas you have to go is a lot further away. So if you don't plan on doing air freight cargo, then buying the ones in the cities are fine. But I'd still just recommend to buy the cheapest one inside of the military base. Facilities, I don't really think it matters where your location is, but I wouldn't recommend to buy the Land Act one. While this is the most expensive, it's also in a really bad location. As you can see, it's right in the marsh, and you have to drive out of that marsh. You got to go all the way down this road, all the way down here to make your way into the city, when you can own one that's just a little bit further down the road, hop right on the highway, and make your way directly into the city. It's literally the exact same time to get there, and it's cheaper and, in my opinion, a much better location. The other locations are all right, but they're pretty far back. The only other one that I'd say is okay is the Lago Zancudo one. It's only 1.6 million, and it's a pretty quick drive. You just go down to the highway here, and then you can make your way into the city. So it's either the Lago Zancudo, or I would recommend the wind farm facility. Those are two of the best locations. Next up, we have nightclubs. Nightclubs are all in the city. So my suggestion is, if you want to buy a nightclub, get the LSIA one. This one here is great if you own a lot of your properties. My Maze Bank building, all of my stuff, my agency, everything is right in this little block here. And that's really nice. So if you have a lot of money, you can always upgrade and purchase this later on. But usually starting off, I just recommend to get the LSIA nightclub, mainly because you don't need to go to your nightclub all that often. And if you do, you can just do the fast traveling method where you set your spawn location and go TP into it. It's not like you're doing a mission while you're heading over to your nightclub anyway. So I don't really feel like the location of nightclubs is all too important. I just wouldn't recommend to get one that's out in like the middle of nowhere, like over here or here. I definitely get one that's close to your overall business and properties. Arcades, do not buy the ones out in the far distance, because if you're doing heists, wastes. These are an absolute waste. Make sure that whatever arcade you own is near the properties you own. So if you own the Maze Bank building, then it's probably smarter enough to buy the either La Mesa one or the Rockford Hills. Personally, I think the Rockford Hills is the best location because, again, my Maze Bank building, my nightclub, everything I own is right in this little area here. But obviously, depending on where your properties are, I would suggest to buy an arcade near that. Auto shops doesn't really make too much of a difference. They're all in the city. Just, again, depends on what location suits your property's needs the most. This one here is the one I own because it's close enough to my other properties that I can use it and hop whenever I want over. But I would say all the locations are honestly pretty fine as long as you don't go really far out. But as you can see, there's no, auto shops that you can own outside the city, so it doesn't make too much of a difference. Salvage yard, just get one of these two here. Either get Strawberry or get La Puerta. The Marietta Heights one is just pretty far away, so I can't recommend to buy that one. But yeah, the other two are absolutely fine. So these are all of the locations in when it comes to Maze Bank foreclosures. Then we head over to Dynasty 8, and we're going to take a look at Dynasty 8 Executive. We can see there's a couple different properties here, nothing outside of the city. The two different properties you're able to own are the agency and the office building. Let's start off with the office building. Don't buy the Maze Bank Tower. The Arcadius is alright, but personally, I just recommend to own the Maze Bank West. As you saw earlier, you can own all the different arcade, nightclub, everything right next to this Maze Bank building. So this is definitely a really good location. The only reason you buy the Maze Bank is if you want to show off, but who are you showing off to? I mean, it's 2024. Everybody owns it at this point. So I just recommend to own the cheapest one. When it comes to the agency, buy the agency that is closest to your Maze Bank Tower. So as you can see, I own the Vespucci Canals one. It's right next to my Maze Bank West. But if you own, for example, the Maze Bank Tower, then buy the Little Seal one, which is a little bit closer. You can also get the Howick one, but I don't really understand why you'd get this one because it's not even in that great of a location. So overall, that is all the properties in GTA. Obviously, when it comes to things like the Kosatka, property doesn't really matter because it's a moving property. It goes where you go. So hopefully you enjoyed today's video. It took a lot of time and effort to put this together, and I'm not even done. I still have to edit this video, make sure everything is clean and seamless. So hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.